let's revel. Let's revel in moments of joy. Let's revel for our friends, our Arsenal supporting friends, because they have hearts and joy and lives and memories, and they deserve happiness too. Arsenal won. Brentford won. How the Emirates was a buzz ahead of this one. Still ringing after that Night Oh Night, a European epic that I believe ballads have already been written about. And Anne Hathaway is no doubt angelically singing them as we pod. Arsenal, as scribed by Virgil or Homer, and I'm only being slightly hyperbolic there, that Declan Rice double thunder wonder, the Real Madrid slaying, the 3-0 quarter-final win that honestly felt like an exorcism of types. That epic dream quest to Real Madrid's on the horizon Wednesday night. Arsenal seeking to do it again for the Hathaway. I'm sure that's Arteta's pre-game speech. The squad selection here definitely went into safety mode. 5 changes from midweek. Timber, Lewis Skelly, Odegaard, Bakayo and Mikel Merino rested. Their reinforcements, old friends, Kieran Tierney, first league start in nearly 2 years for that cross god. Jorginho, Alexander Zinchenko. But one gent who did get a game, El Rey of North London, Declan Rice. Somehow still in the 11 after his heroics midweek, in which he was almost like a master archer delivering forever memories twice within 12 minutes. Raw, did you understand the decision to play Rice just because he is pure energy? Would you not want to wrap him up in a giant spool of bubble wrap?
Well, my working theory now is actually based on what happened against Real Madrid, because Declan Rice, before that first free kick against Real Madrid, had never scored a free kick. Ever in his career. He had never scored a free kick. Certainly not for Arsenal.
Never.
I'm wondering why they let him take it. Surely someone, Martin Odegaard or Bukayo Saka, should have been saying, Declan, you're not very good at this. Don't shoot. But Declan Rice shot, and obviously scores. And then the next one, he's feeling good, so he scores again. And I'm now wondering whether Declan Rice can do whatever he likes. So maybe the plan was that Arteta wasn't going to play him on Saturday. And Declan Rice sort of wandered in and said, well, you say I'm not playing.
They've changed the Wi-Fi name to Big Dex Wi-Fi. Is that what you're saying? He runs everything now.
Declan Rice now just kind of does what he wants all of the time. He wants to shoot from a free kick despite never having scored one for Arsenal. He shoots. He wants to play against Brentford despite the fact that clearly he should be being rested ahead of the Real Madrid game. He plays, not a problem. Declan Rice just has free rein, carte blanche, do what you like.
Big Deck is pillaging. But Brentford, God bless. I mean, the symbol of the depth of strength of this season's Premier League, 12th in the table, still within touching distance of at least one of those European places. The stat being banded around joyfully before this one, they'd only ever won at Arsenal once. It came 87 years ago. This week in 1938, a victory which definitely will have loomed large in both sets of players' minds going into this one. First half, as you'd expect, there was a beautiful Kieran Tierney goal amongst the flickers, ruled off by our new friend, semi-automated offside. Welcome. The other burst of excitement, a Leandro Trossard shot that almost hit a pigeon. Baseball fans, yes, no doubt you were nodding, say, yeah, Randy Johnson style. But other than that, wasn't a lot. Arsenal unable to break a really well-organised Brentford back four, transforms into a back six without the ball. The breakthrough, second half, 61st minute, finally some action. Arsenal scored in a way Arsenal used to concede from their opponent's corner. Raya setting an outlet pass to a thicket of bees' legs to a streaking Declan Rice. Big Deck's ball! Rice did whatever he wanted, i.e. galloped downfield, slid the ball with the outside of his right foot to Thomas Partey, who slap shot home. Arteta instantly brought on his big trio, Odegaard, Saka and Miles Lewis-Skelly. It felt like it was going to pop off, but plot twist, 74th minute, that king of calm, Yohan Wissa, peed in the punch with a turnaround jump shot of a goal, 15th of the season for him. Got a little nervy at the end. Arsenal had used all their subs. Jorginho had to limp off. They played the last 5 minutes with 10 men, but it ended 1-1. Raw, how are we feeling about Arsenal in this moment? Because optimists will say, great, we escaped without major injuries. You know, there's a mysterious Partey knock. But the only thing that really matters is the Champions League. Pragmatist, however, will say 12th draw of the season. Only Everton with 14 have more. 10 points won for their last 7 Premier League games. Is it the best of times, the worst of times in terms of dreams for Arsenal fan? Liverpool now within 2 wins of a Premier League title, meaning a third straight second place season again. Or are you just like, you know what, this is Champions League glory. Cool boys only play real football on weeknights nowadays anyway. Where do you fall on this spectrum? And remember, there's no room for grey areas. This is football. We only have reductionism.
I think I'm going to sit on the fence for the time being, just because I'm not sure you can give a comprehensive answer to that question without knowing what happens in the Champions League. So it feels reasonable to me to say that Arsenal will get through against Real Madrid, and that night at the Emirates last week, that means something regardless of what happens. Like, that is one of the great Emirates nights. It may well be the greatest night that they've experienced at the Emirates since they moved there.
I thought you were going to say it may be the greatest they'll ever have, which is genuinely, that rocked me for a minute. But go on.
I mean, it could be. I think it probably won't be, but it could be, Rog. Let's not rule that out. Maybe it's all downhill from here for Arsenal. But they will get through. They will have a semi-final. That semi-final will probably be against PSG. If they get knocked out against PSG, and it turns out the journey Arsenal have been on, the one that included that Real Madrid win, if it turns out the destination of that journey was a victory in the quarterfinals, then I think there are probably questions to be asked about how Arteta's managed the season, about the way Arsenal's form has kind of tailed off in the last 2 months in particular, since defeat at home to West Ham, really, which I think was February, about their ability to kind of push Liverpool to the limit, because although, and we'll come on to this, I think Liverpool's kind of wobble has been overplayed to some extent. It does feel a little bit like Arsenal have now surrendered the title. And, Arteta said not that long ago, that would only happen over his dead body. And it is completely natural that the team would now start thinking, right, our focus has to be the Champions League, getting through against Madrid, getting past PSG, getting to a final. That has to be their focus, and that is a logical approach. But the way they've kind of dropped away, the way they've faded in the Premier League, I think that will leave quite a bitter taste in all Arsenal mouths.
God, by the way, Raw, we need to pull this sound effect of crows hacking away over a carcass whenever you mention the words Mikel Arteta's dead body. It's very powerful. But I did research this going into the game. It is actually humanly impossible to dream two dreams at the same time. So Premier League dream title for the Gooners is one thing. That battle to shed the unwanted status that you gave them in a show we made about 6 weeks ago, a whole show about Arsenal in the Champions League, that they are the biggest team in Europe never to have won the title. That is another dream, to shed that status. And right now, I've got to be honest, if I was an Arsenal fan, which is a hard mental state to put myself in, I would definitely be cup half full if I was a Gooner. A little bit of talk of the weekend, Rudiger leading it about another La Remontada, a Spanish comeback, the most famous of all, Barcelona 6, Paris Saint-Germain 1, 2019. That's the original La Remontada in the Champions League, where they ended up winning 6-5 on aggregate. Real Madrid, we know, make La Remontadas seem almost routine in this competition. They have myth, they have legend. They are never more deadly than when they seem dead. Oh, Madrid fans, I know you'll never forget La Decima against Atletico Madrid in the 2014 Champions League final. Ronaldo's hat-trick against Wolfsburg in 2016. Why am I bringing all these up, Arsenal fans? I didn't even mention the 3 sensational comebacks in 2022. PSG, Chelsea, Manchester City. Jose lose 2 last-minute goals against Bayern Munich last season. But they couldn't, could they, Raw?
They could, because it's Real Madrid. It is entirely possible that if they score early, that Arsenal kind of feel the occasion, that they feel the pressure of the Bernabeu, that it all kind of gets to them. I think it's really unlikely. And you're right that it should be a glass half full approach at the moment for Arsenal. Yeah, they have been a little bit of a letdown in the title race. They haven't really given us a title race as I expected. Even I'm prepared to start thinking that it looks pretty likely Liverpool will win the lead now, Rog. But if this season becomes remembered as the season that Arsenal won the Champions League, then to be honest, none of that matters. If they finish second and win the Champions League, this will have been one of the finest seasons in Arsenal's history, regardless of the way it ends in the league. Nobody will care. The players won't care. The manager won't care. The fans, 100%, will not care.
I could not be happier for you Arsenal fans. I pray for you this week. Particularly, I met a very lovely customs officer who allowed me back into the United States of America. Massive gooner.
Poor judge of character.
It's only the football talk that allows me into the country nowadays, Roy. It is amazing. But that win against Madrid, it was like watching a team prove themselves to themselves. That's what human beings really prove themselves to themselves, that you too are capable of winning on the biggest occasions. And I hope it carries through. Yes, if any team can shock in the Champions League, it is Real Madrid. I'm sure, speaking to some Arsenal fans, I'm very, very close friends with many of them. And the way they're talking right now, they're making it feel like they've just kind of climbed into a car on a misty night on Lover's Lane to make out with Declan Rice when there's a serial killer on the loose. But I want you to channel the spirit in this week, Gooners, of Declan Rice himself when he was interviewed post-game after last week's wonder. He said his mentality was to be fearless. What else have you got to lose? I love that for football. I love that for life.